Hello, everyone. Welcome to our SAP Business One Tips and Tricks coffee break. Yannick, can you hear me?
Yes.
You're good. All right, good. So today, Yannick Lagadec, who's a consultant with Forgestik, is going to be showing us how the general ledger determination setup works. So it's all yours, Yannick. And if anybody has any questions, just use the Q&A box and I'll manage your questions for Yannick as it goes along.
Perfect. So good afternoon, everyone. Let me show my screen on SAP.
Yeah, there we go. We got your screen.
Perfect. So, okay. So in SAP, there's two ways, two methods of the account GL determination. By default, SAP will, when we install, when we are doing a new installation, it comes automatically with the basic GL account determination. And we will see later on, there's if we have more complex way to assign a GL account based on our business model, we have the option of turning on the advanced GL determination. So let's start with the basic. So you will send the administration to turn the switch on. It's in the system initialization. Under the company detail, and it's basically just a checkbox here. It's enable, and when it's turned on, we cannot go back because unless we have exactly the same rule. But normally we create rules, more complex rule, and we cannot go back and from the advanced to basic anymore. So this is just the way we turn the switch on, and when we do that, obviously nobody needs to. We cannot have anyone's connected to the system. So let's start. I have opened my screen or two different SAP. One is with the basic GL account determination. We'll see. We'll start with the general account. You see, this is the default account. When we go into the administration setup, financial, we'll see there's the GL account determination. It's under the financial, and we see we have the option of defining what will be our default account, and it's per module. So this is the general account. As I said, it's the default account. So we have the one for the sales. I ain't gonna enter into in detail for each line because it's gonna take way too much time. But it's the purpose of that seminar is just to show you where are the settings. So we have a set of GL accounts per module: sales, purchasing. General, the general, it's where we will find also the return earning account. It's by default, it's here that we put the GL account, the inventory. This one, it's really important because most of the business it will be driven by items. So this is where we set for every time that we are using item in the system, which account we will the transaction we use. And we have also resources. Resources, automatically it comes with the advanced rule, because resources we can have more complexity, and but basically the accounts, the default account we see here, it's related to resources that we might use into the production module. It is basically what GL account will be credited. So what will be the where the cost will coming from and put into our work in process So this is like the salary. It will just credit the salary account and put that into the working process. So this is where we, but we ain't gonna go into in detail in this one because it's strictly only for manufacturing purposes and
Yannick,
for resources.
I have a
Yeah.
little question on that. Let's say somebody is set up with their SAP and they only unlock the production module a year later, or at some point they
But
unlock the production module. So in that case, we just redetermine some different GL accounts because of the unlocking of that.
no, if we are not using production right now, we don't have to fill anything here. So this
Okay.
is, but this one doesn't change anything. It's always there. There's no basic or advanced GL determination. The resources, it's always with advanced GL determination. That's the only module where we can build rules when we are in with the basic mode. As you see here, here inventory, we ain't gonna see the advanced rule because I cannot create rules, but resources, that's the only one that I can, you see, no matter which method I'm using, we are always in the advanced rule with the resources.
So if somebody eventually opens up their production module because they weren't using it and they decide to use it, in that case, we just add on some new GL accounts with
That's it. Yeah,
the
that's right.
okay.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. We create a resource first, and then each resource, it's attached. It's the same principle as an item. A resource belongs to a group of resource, and the group of resource is linked to a GL account determination, and we can build rules because some specific resource we might want that, you see, maybe the costs coming from a different GL account. Let's see, so salaries, sometimes they are split between different GL accounts. So we might want to use different accounts when we're using resources. So that's why I think this one, I think it's a must to build rules because of that, there's the costs are coming with multiple GL accounts at the start. But you see, but here, so this is the system default GL account. You will always use this one, let's say, by example, to calculate for the cash, the accounts receivable account. This one will be always the accounts that the system will use. But for the inventory, this one, it's a little bit different. So this is the default, but as we will see, when we go into the inventory module, item master data, if I pick up an item, you will see here inside the inventory data tab, the set GL account here is, this is where this tells to the system which method or which criteria will decide what GL account I will use, what will be my criteria of selecting my GL account. So I have three, so the basic method, we have only three choices, and we cannot mix these choices. So it's either by per warehouse, it serves company where their GL account, they want just to split the sales or cost of sales per region. You just want to keep track with your financial statement just to see quickly what are the sales from, let's say, coming from Toronto, coming from Vancouver, coming from, because you have different location, different point of distribution. So it could, it's rarely used, but we have some customer using that. We have also the second level, with it becomes a little bit more in detail. It's per item group. The item group identify here. So this one, every item that belongs to the, you see, we'll see later on. But on the item group, we'll see the GL account, and every item that belongs to the item group will follow the same distribution rule. So this is one criteria, the item group, And the last one is the item level, which is the most detailed one. It goes item by item. And you see when I select the item, my accounts here, and I'm not displaying all the accounts. You will see there's about, let's say, close to 20 different GL accounts that we have to specify into GL account determination. It's the same in reality. It replicates exactly the same structure that we have seen into our setup here. GL account determination, you see all these line here, we have to settle to set up a different GL account. But here, all these lines are replicated here, but by columns, but this is the same structure. So inventory account, revenue account, cost of goods sold account, expense account, variation account, and so on. So there's different, we can put different GL account, but it has to be done at the item level, which is much longer to do because you have to do it by different, you see, type of area and by warehouse. Okay, so we can also go by warehouse if we want, but it has to be done. So it's more I would say it's more used for what we call a service item, an item where you just want to better control the GL distribution. Let's say, by example, you have freight charges or hydro bills or things like this that you just want to use. You might want to use a service item, and the service item goes. You see, you just have to set up the expense account column here, because there's you don't keep track of the inventory. So it's not an inventory item, it's only a purchase item. But it's easier when you do your AP invoice to select that item, because the GL account will come already attached to that item, and you don't have to type it manually. So as we will see, I think I think I have my freight. That's right, my freight. It's a sell item, but if I create an item and it's I don't know if I have one. Not sure, but I'll show you. I think I might need. I think I have freight, but I think my freight. I think I pass it. I take my example. Let's say I put that as a purchase item as well. And you see this one, it's at item level, and the item level, I specify this is my expense account. So when I go into my AP invoice, then instead of selecting my service invoice and I say, okay, let's take a vendor. So instead of saying, okay, this is freight and put the GL account, it's a bit faster, and also it avoids mistake if I just select my freight charge and my GL account to follow automatically, and I have my description that's coming with it. And that description we can always change it if we want to put more detail. So this is useful to have service items. So that's why I think that option it's more for that. So this is the basic GL account determination. So we see it's driven by the item, and that's why then after having set up the default GL account for the company, then we have to go on the inventory level and specify for each item group what will be my GL account associated with that item group. So if I take a server, let's say, for example, the server here, I specify the revenue account, the cost of goods sold account, the inventory account, and all the variation accounts that we might want to use. This is by item group. So this the system will really follow. If we specify the item follow the item group method, then the system will look into the item group what GL account to use. And we have exactly the same principle with the warehouse. If my item is driven by the warehouse, the accounting GL determination, then I have to specify the same GL account per warehouse. You see, I've got several warehouse, and each one has I can specify their own GL account if it's it's the way to post the transaction into the general ledger. So this is the basic method of the GL account determination. And then a lot of customers will have this situation where, let's say, by example, here I have modified my chart of account quick. Here, if I focus just on revenue, by example, you see here I have a different account for PC domestic, PC foreign, PC, let's say, let's focus on these two first. So if my sale of my PC it's here in Canada, then I want to use that GL account. If it's in the US or any other country, then I want to use a different GL account. This is combined. You see, I'm combining criteria here where I'm combining the item group, the PC group, and also the country where I shipped the product. So using the combination like this, it's not possible when we are using the basic method of GL account determination in SAP. Then we have no other choice to turn the switch on for the advanced GL determination, because the advanced, it will allow me to create rules and pretty complex rule if I want, okay? Because I can really use multiple criteria to drive my GL posting. So if I switch to the other database, you will see into my setup, same place, the default account, you will see there's another line that just add up. It's pretty much the same as I have with the resources, except that this one, you see this one, I have all the criteria that I might want to use to tell the system, when you see this, you post to that GL. When you see that, you post to another GL. So here, I've got my three basic method, the group, the code, and the item code, and the warehouse code. But then I can add multiple other criteria. Let's say, by example, the ship to country. I said if I want to use different GL account per country, then I can add that criteria. And this morning also, we had this is a demo database, but I think there's a user-defined field for attached to the item that will tell me I can use different GL account if, by example, my sales are coming from an item that it's sold through the internet or not. So and so this is really could be really useful, because user-defined field, the advanced GL determination that exists since long time. But adding a user-defined field to my rules, I don't remember, but I think it's after 9.2, 9.3. It was not there since for a long time. So this could be really useful when we want to drive my GL posting through other field than the basic or the native field coming from SAP. So this is something that we have to establish at the beginning. What will be my other criteria? And then we will see my GL account determination. It looks pretty much the same, except here I can build rules. This is that option was gray out on the other database, and I cannot do anything about that. But here now I can go and access to more advanced. I can here. If I click here, I will see my 7 rules. But if I have no rules, you see, I think probably I have 2 rules here in my purchasing. If I click here, I see only my 2 rules related to my purchasing. But if I click here, I will see all my rules. See. So this is the way it works, how we establish the rules. By default, the system will look into these rules first. This is my priority. If it doesn't find any rules, then it goes back to my default account. If I focus on sales, my default account is 411. So if it doesn't find the rules, any rules, then it will fall into my 411. A lot of customers that you're using the rules 100%, it's driven by rules. At the end, in theory, we don't need to fill these default account, because I make sure that all my rules are covering all my possibility of transaction. But by default, we prefer to put one that then at least people, then when they're working on the system, we make sure they don't get blocked by a missing rule, especially at the beginning of using SAP. So if I go into my advanced, we will see, okay, I have a set of rules, but mainly focus on my freight, my freight chart. But I will see here. So he's looking on the item group first. Okay, freight it belongs to the item group. In theory, I don't need to specify the item group, because the system knows freight. It cannot belong to 2 different item group. It belongs to only one. So it doesn't give more details if I put item. But it will accept anyway. But if I put all here, my freight, I focus on my freight. But the difference here, if I'm using the warehouse 01 and I'm using a ship to a customer located in the US, then it will use the 414 instead of the default one. If I'm using the warehouse code 02, then it will use another GL account. And if I will see if I know, and if I you see the 01 doesn't appear for my freight. The 01 doesn't appear anywhere else. So I have only one rule for my 01. So if I go and I will understand what the system will do. So if I reduce this screen, just keep the other one. So if I go into my, let's say, I think this morning I use this one, the US account. I use my freight. You will see. So my warehouse one is using 414 because it follows under that rule. See, it meets, okay, it's freight, it's 01, and it's a US. If I go here, my ship to is in US. So it's using my 414 exactly as I specified. If I select 02, I didn't specify any country. So he's using the other one. I didn't specify any country, so he's using this rule, freight 02. If I, by example, use another customer located in Canada, okay, and I select my 02, it follows again this here because I didn't specify any country, but I don't have any specific rule for my 01. Whoop. So I don't have any rules for 01 for Canadian customer. So it falls under my default 411 here that I specified. So that's why. So we say. So that's why normally most of company they are building rules and make sure that they are covering every possibility. But sometimes it might be useful to have just the default rule. Sometimes it works also just to have a default rule and focus only on the exception. It's not necessarily a bad practice, because it avoids creating rules for nothing. So sometimes it's just to focus on the exception, and it's easier to it's faster to create rules, and it avoids to have hundreds of rules. Sometimes we see a lot of rules to be able to match every possibility. But this is really useful. So this is so every and you see it's really important to I forgot to mention that this morning, but it's really important to understand that the rules are driven by item related transaction only. Okay, I cannot create a rule for my accounts receivable account. It's not possible. The rules are created by the items, strictly by the items. So every time that you see all the GL account are associated with the item are these ones, but on the sales side, the accounts receivable, this one are not driven by item. This is driven by a customer account. It's not the item who decide which receivable account to use. So it's important to mention that you see the most of balance sheet account like this or cash, things like this cannot be driven by the rules. It's only on the items item transaction. So so this is basically that's covering pretty much. You see the basic of the GL account determination, and that's it. I don't think that there's at that stage any more things to show for now on the GL.
Okay. That's good, Yannick. Does anybody have any questions? You can use the question and answer box. And just while waiting for if anybody has any questions, we were speaking earlier on, a future session that we can have exactly this, just a phase 2 to this one, to speak about the structures of determination. So that could be interesting. But if anybody has any questions now for while we have Yannick with us, feel free.
How to create rules or...
Yeah, exactly. And by the way, too, I have a document that was sent. We had our French session this morning, and I have a document on this whole setup that we just spoke about. So if anybody wants it, you could just send me an email to Tracy with no E, Tracy at forgestik.com, and I could send you the document if you need it. So that's it. Well, we don't seem to have any questions, Yannick. So, okay. All right. Well, everybody, thanks. I hope we provided information that could be useful for future use. Oh, hang on a second. Yes, hang on, Mittal. It's Tracy, Tracy, no E. I'm the one basically that sends you the invitations for this. So you could also just reply from the invitation that I sent to this presentation. T McEnany, but Tracy at Forgestik, Tracy. Yannick, could you put up the PowerPoint on the last page?
Yeah, that's right.
You've got the information there, yeah, on page 2 of the PowerPoint.
Yeah, let me show you.
Hang on a second. Yeah, exactly. And so Tracy at Forgestik.com, and you can also call me. I'm always available. And if you have any questions, you always have your support desk. So, well, thanks, everybody. Thanks a lot, Yannick. And I'm wishing everybody just a great weekend, and see you at our next session.
Perfect. Okay.
Thanks. Bye.
Okay. Bye.